So, the last several podcasts, I've had working appraisers on the program. I love having working appraisers on the program. You get some insight and you find out what your peers are doing around the country, right? What are they doing? And in particular, what are they doing during these trying times when we have a massive slowdown and we find ourselves with some time on our hands, which is unusual for the working appraiser. We find ourselves a little angry, frustrated. You're probably a little angry and frustrated because the faucet didn't just slow down. I mean, it literally shut off. You're maybe a little anxious, and I'm all of those things as well. I'm not insulated from any of those things. And you might just be downright scared. I don't know. So stick around. I've got another working appraiser on the program today, and I'm excited to have a conversation with him. So come on back and we'll talk to him. Hi, this is Bryan Reynolds. You're listening to the Appraisal Update Podcast, brought to you as always by the great folks over at Appraiser eLearning. We hope you're doing well. We hope you're hanging in there. We very much hope that you're finding ways to stay busy, whether it's a return to your normal work, appraising houses or for refinances, purchases, things like that, or you're finding new streams of work, new avenues of work, new opportunities. Maybe you're getting some education like we've talked about over the last two broadcasts. I know I'm looking at sharpening some skills in a certain area that I'm a bit rusty on. And I'm actually excited about relearning some of those processes. So I'm excited about that. I had a team meeting just today, and we talked about some different things, and we're doing some housekeeping. We're getting some of our paper files digitized. We're almost a totally digital office, but not quite. So we've got some staff members that have some time on their hands, and we're doing some housekeeping. We're digitizing some of the files that we had not gotten to yet. We're getting organized, and of course we are continuing to seek out new business as well as reaching out to existing clients and checking on them and trying to build and rebuild some relationships. But I'm super excited today. I've got my good friend, Mr. Barry Phillips, on the program. So welcome, Barry. Thanks for joining us today.
I appreciate it, Bryan. Good to be here.
So Barry does a lot. Barry's a working appraiser. He's a board of director of the NAA. Are you a board member of SCPAC presently too?
Well, I'm actually the immediate past president
Okay.
of SCPAC, which I'm about to roll totally off here really soon.
So you'll have more time on your hands.
Well, that's always a plan, but it seems to never happen.
It always gets filled up. I know, I constantly say that I'm juggling about 5 balls, right? And I can't add ball number 6 because if I try to add another ball, I'm going to drop them all. But in April, I term out as president of the NAA, and to me, that's one of the balls coming out. I know I can juggle 5, so instead of just juggling 4, why don't we replace that ball and have 5 in the air again? So that's me. But Barry is an all-around great guy, Mr. Barry Phillips. And Barry, why don't you just take a little bit more of an introduction and let my listeners and possibly viewers know a little bit about you. How long have you been in the business, what you specialize in, and your involvement with both state and national associations?
Okay, thank you, Bryan. Yeah, I got into the business back in 2000. A good buddy of mine had been pushing me a couple years to get into it, and we actually I finally broke and tried it out and ended up loving it. So came into the business and have loved every minute of it. I just can't see having a better job than what we do. I love what I do every day. And a lot of people, they can't wake up in the morning and actually enjoy going to work. So it's been a great career. I've got into it, end up bringing, I think I trained 2, 3, 4, 5 guys early on and didn't train anybody else until for about 10 years. But I started focusing on, I think around 2010, 2011, I started doing primarily VA appraisals. I got on the VA list and started doing them, and just really enjoyed it. I was in the Marine Corps. I got out in 95, I think it was 95 or 96. And so just really enjoyed giving back to the veteran community. And so that's kind of how I really, pushed to get on there. And it's been really, done really well for me. From there, I got involved in my state coalition back. I think I first went on in 2008, 2009. I think that was probably one of my first meetings I ever went to. Didn't really know too much about it, and went to it. Didn't know if I wanted to socialize with my what we thought back then was my competition. But the more I got involved in it, the more I started seeing, these are great resources. So really started plugging into my state coalition, which is SCPAC, the South Carolina Professional Appraisers Coalition. Started really plugging into it back in probably 2013, somewhere in that range maybe, and just have not looked back since. We really are a tight group here. We actually became an education provider ourselves for our state, and we do a lot of classes, continuing ed through that. But so in 2021, I was the president for the state board there. So right now I'm the immediate past president, and actually looking forward to kind of rolling off of that role there. But
it is it's a commitment. I mean, if you take it serious and you work it, and there are people out there, and God love them, that they want to be on a board to say I'm on a board, and quite frankly, we don't need that type of volunteerism, because it's not really. It's for self-interest purposes only, right? We want people that want to work, want to get involved, want to try to make the profession a better place. And I know you well enough, Barry, that you are. I feel like I mistreat you sometimes, Barry, and I don't mean to. But Barry is somebody you can count on. We're at the national conferences, so Barry's a member, a board of director member of the National Association of Appraisers, and glad to have you on the board. The board is better because you're part of it. But Barry is a worker. I mean, you could say, "Hey, Barry, can you help me with this?" Or, "Hey, we got a microphone. We need a moderator. We've got," and he is right there ready to spring into action and help in any way he can. And you've done a fantastic job, and I want to thank you for that. It really kind of spreads the workload for everyone instead of one person just trying to do everything. So you've been a big asset, and thank you for your service there.
I appreciate that.
So talk about your appraisal business for a minute. Is it just you, or do you have administrators, trainees, other certified appraisers? Tell us about the dynamics of your appraisal company a little bit.
Okay, so my company, I actually have, I've got one guy, Mr. Mark Jones, that has been with me. I think he came on with me in 2005 or 6, somewhere closer, somewhere in that range. And he has been with me ever since. He is a certified residential. I myself am a certified residential as well. I actually was going for my certified general, did all the courses and everything, and kind of backed out of it back in about 2010, and kick myself now for not going on through with it, because all I needed was the experience points to go ahead and get that. But so I do it now. I do regret it, but I love the residential side. Although later in my career now, I would probably be really interested in the commercial side. But so Mark has been with me. I've got 2 other guys that are kind of part-time with me. One covers a specific county that I do not do myself. He is actually a cousin of my wife, but he was he was the former assessor of that county, as a matter of fact. So he does fee work now for an appraiser there, works with him, and still does anything that I get in that county. Then I've got another guy that he focuses more on desktop work. He's been actually doing that for several years. We just started hearing the big desktop talk, but they've actually been around for quite a while.
Oh yeah. So the two part-time, are they certified appraisers as well?
They are. They're
Okay.
both certified, and so they've all been on. All three of those guys have been with me since about 2005, 6, somewhere in that range.
Great.
Uh,
So now you do VA, which has to help supplement, because VA is still a closed panel, right? I mean, I couldn't just wake up today and say, hey, I want to start doing VA work. There's a process that you have to go through and become approved and become a VA appraiser on their panel.
Right.
But so I know that's helped, keep a flow of work coming into you. But I assume your work has slowed down. Like, I'm gonna go out on a ledge and say all the residential appraisers across the country have slowed down. I don't know if it's all, but it's got to be, gosh, almost all, if not all, have slowed down, and probably the majority excessively slowed down over the last 6 months or so. So tell us about your current environment. Have you slowed down tremendously, and if so, what are you guys doing to either weather the storm or change your business model?
Well, we have definitely slowed down as well. So, I hear, I think you and I both talk to many appraisers from across the country on a regular basis, and kind of keep up with what the market's doing. And I didn't catch all of the podcasts with Scott Cullen here recently, but I think he did hit it on the head. With interest rates, what they're doing, we're going to see a slowdown. There are seasonal things that that makes business kind of slow down somewhat, but these rates are definitely, we're seeing an effect on it. And I've got a lot of friends in the industry that are on the realtor side, building side, all that, and when you're watching what they're doing and how it's affecting them, it's going to roll downhill to you eventually here. So that is kind of what I've seen there. So it's hard to say because, I only take so much work from the VA each week anyway. But when they're barely giving that to me, that's when I know, hey, things are, there's, I'm not panicking or anything, but they are, we're definitely feeling it.
Yeah.
So
what are you guys doing to, I mean, are you just being patient, or are you looking for other sources of clients? I mean, what's your strategic plan to kind of weather this storm?
Well, one thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about Clubhouse here, but one thing that we do talk about quite a bit is diversifying your practice anyway. And I know you all offer courses on that, which is always something great to take. But so I've gone out and tried to, we really should have been doing this a year ago instead of, after the fact. But, I do have some attorneys, different people, realtors. I'm just doing some supplemental work as far as stuff I don't, that isn't lending work. I've done quite a few deals for not lenders, for realtors. They just, your name kind of gets passed around. Hey, you need to use this guy or this company for pre-listing appraisals, and then get into the estate work and divorce work. There's so much other avenues that we can take. We're trying to tap into that as much as we can. I know everybody's trying to do it now, so.
Yeah, no question. I wrote an article many years ago, and said, the best time to solicit new clients is when you're busy, and that really is a hard concept to get your head around, because you're like, I'm busy. I can't do the work I'm doing. You're telling me to go select new work. Yes, that is the time, because Not many folks are knocking on the doors and trying to solicit work when we're busy, but when we're slow, everybody's knocking on the door. Hey, send me an order. Hey, I need some help over here, right? And that's kind of where we find ourselves right now. What do you think, Barry? I think we're going to be around. I think we're going to be around for a long, long time. I don't think the appraisal profession's dead. I don't think appraisers are going away. But I do think there is going to be a little bit of a washout of appraisers, right? There's going to be some that are casualties of this, that they are going to get out of the business. There are some appraisers that have never experienced a slowdown ever, more or less a slowdown like we're facing right now. So what's your thoughts? I mean, do you think that it's going to impact the number of appraisers? And if it does, for those that do hold on, it'll be an opportunity on the other side. But how do people? Let's say a listener right now wants to hold on. What do you recommend? How do they hold on?
Bryan, I believe this is something that we've been through just because the amount of time that we have been in the business, and I can be honestly sit here and say, and my wife would tell you as well, that there have been many times in my career, things have slowed down. It'll be a seasonal slowdown, and we start panicking a little bit. I sit and look at it. I look back now on it, and I'm like, there was no reason to panic, although we were. We're all kind of concerned with our livelihood, that it's going to remain there. And then we hear all the other things that are happening in the industry that, appraisers, they're going to get rid of us, or, whatever, just some of the talk that goes around. But I think it's one of those things we've got to weather the storm and take advantage of the time that we have off to do other things, to do the continuing education. And, that's something I'm really kind of focusing in on right now. I know you all are offering a class here soon that Scott Cullen and Tim Anderson will be doing. Mm-hmm. And I've actually been doing that stuff. I've actually been working with those guys on some of that as well through Excel. And Dr. Rick Mayberry, I've been really working closely with him for about 2 months on a lot of the stuff that he's offering. And I'm sure that stuff will be, coming out, in the coming months. We've actually had him up on Clubhouse and discuss what he can do with Excel. And it's amazing. Once you actually see it, it'll blow your mind. So there's many different products out there you can use, but really enjoy, spending this time that is a little bit slower and getting to learn so many things.
I have my real estate license too. So I don't do a lot of real estate, but I do some. Bought a house a little bit ago and was able to represent myself in that transaction and apply the commission toward the purchase or however you want to do it, right?
Right.
And I'm like everybody else. Now on the appraisal side, I have so much CE every year. It's not an issue because I attend a lot of events and I'm a student a lot of times in the classes. So, but on the real estate side, I'm like everybody else. I wait till the last minute. Oh my gosh, I got to get my CE in, right? And that just happened to me in December. And my broker called and said, Bryan, you got to get your CE in. They recommend by the 15th. If you don't do it, you're going to have $1,000 fine. Oh my God. When am I going to do that? So I'm scrambling on a weekend. I'm trying to get a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and I'm like everybody else. So to your point, gosh, while you're slow, while you have this opportunity, instead of just being depressed and sad, use that as an opportunity to knock some of there's things that you've got to do regardless. So maybe you take the opportunity to knock that out, get that off your plate, right? Maybe you do something for self-improvement. I think so. Barry didn't know what I'm going to say because these aren't rehearsed, but Barry, I said, I'm going to put headphones on and I'm going to check our levels, right? What did I ask you to say in the microphone to check a level?
What did you have for breakfast?
I said, what'd you have for breakfast? And then I'm trying to adjust the levels. And then I said, What'd you have for lunch? And you told me, and then you said, what about your lunch? You said turkey, and why did you eat a turkey sandwich for lunch?
Well, I said I need to kind of cut back a little bit.
That,
So,
that's exactly what you said. So Barry said, when we were doing kind of a pre-check, just audio settings, not pre-rehearsed, just checking the audio levels. He said, I'm trying to do a little better. I'm trying to watch. So maybe this is an opportunity for self-improvement. Maybe you read a book. Maybe you start exercising. Maybe you really look at the diet. Maybe you look at your finances. And maybe it's a really good time to look at your finances. Maybe it's a time to go to your financial consultant and say, should I keep these in stock? Should I move these over to bonds? What should I do? Right? So I know personally myself, I run out of time every day, right? And I'll wake up in the middle of the night, my mind going 100 miles an hour. I had a gentleman in my office yesterday, and he had a little notebook, and he says, when my mind does that, I start making notes. And I picked up my phone, and I showed him how digitally I took notes in the middle of the night one night I woke up, right? And I'm trying to do better because I want to get that sleep, right? So I took some melatonin the other night, and I slept all night through. And Barry, I woke up the next day full of energy, ready to go. I'm like, oh my God, if I could do this every night, right? So being prepared, one of the biggest fears we have as human beings is the fear of the unknown. My brother once said, it's like you hear the tornado sirens going off. There's tornado warnings in your community. And we have a lot of those here, but right. You hear the sirens going off, and what do? You go to an interior room and you hunker down and you try and get in a protective stance, and you're just waiting, right? And normally, if the tornado bypasses you, you're going to be okay. If the tornado knocks down a tree and maybe it lands on your car, you know what? That's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, you're going to be okay. Even if it hits your house, as long as you're okay physically, right? As long as you're not injured or killed, we can rebuild everything. Everything's going to be okay, right? It's just stuff. We'll figure it out. But the biggest fear is not knowing, right? Is being in that kind of hunkered down, in the infant prone position, just being scared. We're in an area of being unknown, and normally the fear of the unknown is worse than the actual act. Once something happens, once that tornado goes through, then we can start taking steps to rebuild and reorganize and get back to our normal lifestyle. It's just that fear of the unknown. And I think that's where we are as appraisers right now. We're just in a state of unknown, right? We're optimistic. Right. We think we're going to be okay, but we don't know how long it's going to take, when it's going to take. So if we can try and find ways to be prepared, I think that's half the battle. I would take this time to do things that will help you as an individual, help you as your family, help you to be prepared for the next chapter, if you will. And maybe that is diversifying your practice. Maybe that is learning a new skill set. I wouldn't recommend that you just sit around and wait forever, right? You got to be very proactive. So you mentioned Clubhouse a couple of times. So I may have some listeners or viewers out there that have no idea what you're talking about when you say Clubhouse. So Barry, why don't you take a moment and explain to the listeners what is Clubhouse and what is your involvement with Clubhouse?
Okay, well, Clubhouse, we do it every week. Bryan and John Dingman started Clubhouse. Bryan, I think it's been 2 years ago now.
Gosh, it's pushing. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think it's right at 2 years ago is when I first found out about it. Around March, it'll be 2 years. And it's a great platform for us to get together. But, Bryan and John started Real Estate Appraisal Talk on Clubhouse. So it's just an audio app. It's not like doing here where you have video or anything. Although there have been times that it would have been nice to have a little video.
True.
But so it has actually really, really grown. So Mondays, originally started, it was our trainee day, and I'm actually hosting that right now with Tim Anderson, and then I'm helping Tim on Tuesdays with Tim. So we got those two shows that we definitely do every week. The trainee, we try to keep it focused on nothing but trainee talk is what we call it. And we're talking about trying to get into this business, so we're bringing on trainees, different things like that. Tuesdays is kind of open. Tuesdays and Wednesdays both are kind of open game. Tim and I will talk on Tuesdays and try to come up with a topic. But if one of our listeners comes up and they have something they want to discuss, the entire conversation may end up that way. And I'll even talk in a minute here about one we had yesterday on our trainee day. But then Wednesdays we have Bryan and John. They host Wednesday afternoons, and we just had two new episodes or shows that we started here recently. The first one was Team Talk, and Stephanie, they do that every it's the first and third Friday of every month. So there will be one this coming Friday. And we've got a new one that Mr. Paul Real, who is actually here from the upstate, and I'm very involved with here. He has started one for, it's basically appraisal business valuation. So that is on Thursday, and he does every other Thursday. So it might be a first and third, or it might be one of those months where it hits with 5 weeks in it, and it might swap up. But that might increase depending on his availability for that. So it's really a great platform. I've been involved with it now, I guess, on the trainee day on Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern time for about a year and a half now, and it's just I can't say enough about it. Yesterday we tried to we try to keep it focused on the trainees, but we had a certified appraiser yesterday that came on, and she had an issue with something that she had done in the past and was doing a new assignment now and wanted advice on. We ended up talking about it for 45 minutes. So it's just a great platform. You have something going on or need advice, we have experts in the room all the time. We've had Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac representatives, the appraisal stand, you name it. We've had some great people and really top-notch names on stage with us there.
Yeah, and it just for the listeners to know. So what we're talking about is it's an audio platform, right? And it's available through your app store. So it's an app, and you download that, and the name of the app again is called Clubhouse. And you can get that. It used to be, I think, Barry, just for iPhones. I think iPhone was the only place you could download that, right? But now I think it's on Android as well. So you go into your app store and just search Clubhouse. It's a free application, and you download that, and you get on the club, right? It's called Clubhouse, and there's all kinds of clubs. So you'll find them on real estate or in acting or whatever you can imagine, more than likely. Well, we created a club called Real Estate Appraisal Talk. And there's no space between appraisal talk. We ran out of characters, right? So it's Real Estate Appraisal Talk. And then that's our club. And we have over, I think it's 1,600 members presently, Barry. It's really grown. Yeah. I mean, it started out with just a few, and then there were, a couple of hundred, and then you blink and there were 700 or 800, and now there's over 1,600. So it's pretty incredible. And Barry gave you the kind of the lineup. There's clubs almost every day of the week. And it's free. So you can go in and you participate. And when you first go into the room, you're in the audience and you're listening. Let's say it's on Mondays with Barry, for trainee talk. Barry and Tim will be up on stage, and you would be in the audience listening to the conversation, very much like you're listening now. The difference is it's live, and you can also raise your hand and they'll bring you up on stage and you can ask a live question. They now have a little chat function where if you don't want to be on stage, you could just, type it in. But it's a very highly interactive audio platform, and we've had a lot of great success for it. And Barry, I just want to thank you personally for your commitment to that, because I know that's a big commitment. Barry's there every Monday at 3:00 Central Standard Time, leading the group, and we certainly appreciate you for doing that, Barry.
Well, appreciate that. We actually did take Christmas week off for once, so
Oh, you got a day off, huh?
yeah. Tim and I talked. We said let's take it off. So
Yeah, and to Barry's point, there has been folks, and this is folks from all over the world. We've had people from all over the world in this room. We've had members of the appraisal subcommittee. We've had appraisal standards board, appraisal qualification, but lots of folks at the Appraisal Foundation. As Barry said, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Jeff Bradford's on there every once in a while. Craig Morley's on there all the time. I mean, it's just a great group of folks. And it's all about giving advice or just having a conversation. I mean, sometimes we might say we don't know the answer, but it's bringing the appraisal community together in a fun, free, informative atmosphere. And it's really been a lot of fun and very informative. So again, thank you for doing that. Now, Barry, you travel around a little bit. I know you're heavily involved with SCPAC. You're heavily involved with the NAA. If somebody wanted to meet you in person, where will you be, and when could they see you?
well, for SCPAC we actually have a conference coming up at the end of February, and I'm going off the top of my head here. I think it's February 24th. It is a Thursday and Friday, so February 24th at Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
And we do have. You can get more information at scpac.net. We actually advertise on there, or just email me, either way. But we've got some really great speakers coming in. You know, these are some of the speakers that we would have on the national level, and we were fortunate enough, our incoming president, Mr. Wes Hasty, was able to bring in Lyle Radke and Scott Reuter, you know, some of these guys, and we've actually got Craig Capella coming. So he's one of our big real estate attorneys in the nation. We don't have very many of them, so we're always fortunate to get one of them guys coming in to talk with us as well.
Yeah,
so that'll be end of February down at Myrtle Beach. Always a good time. We had you there once or twice, Bryan. So
yeah,
really
it's a great group. And just so my listeners know, let's say somebody wants to come to Myrtle Beach and check this out. They don't have to be a member of your association, right? This would be open to anybody that would want to pay and attend the event. Is that true, or do you have to be a member?
That's exactly right.
Okay, great. And what's plug the website again so folks can find it if they want to check it out?
So it is SCPAC, so scpac.net.
Very good. And then you'll be in Sacramento for NAA, is that right?
That's right. That's sneaking up. And I actually talked to Melinda today, and she said, "Can you believe we are 85 days out?" And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!"
Oh my goodness!
I feel like we just got back from the summit. It seemed like a couple months ago, and here we are again. But yeah, really look forward to it. I think that's going to be a great conference.
Going to be a great event in Sacramento. That's April 1st. You can find out more information about that at the National Association of Appraisers at NAAappraisers.org. I think I should know that, or you can jump over to appraisereLearning.com and get additional information. Barry, thank you so much for being here today. If somebody listening wants to reach out to you directly and have a conversation with you, what's the best way to reach out to you? Give your contact info.
Well, the easiest thing is you can always get me on Clubhouse, so you can always find me there on Mondays and Tuesdays, and generally other days during the week. But you can also get me through email at Barry, BARRY, at phillipsappraisals.net. So Barry at phillipsappraisals.net. That's the quickest and easiest way to get in touch with me.
Very good. Mr. Barry Phillips, thank you so much for being here today. I certainly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you real soon in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Appraisal Update Podcast, brought to you by Appraiser eLearning. I hope you stay safe. I hope you figure this out. Hold on for a minute. We're going to be okay. I keep saying that, but I really mean it. I genuinely mean it. I can't help myself. Barry had those great big old deer behind his head, so here's one. Barry, I couldn't help it. I had to show mine. I got a Euro mount up there, but you can't see it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, please be safe, hang in there, and happy appraising. For Barry Phillips, I'm your host, Bryan Reynolds. Until next time, please be safe.
The Appraisal Update podcast is brought to you by Appraiser eLearning.